All right, so today we're going to break down this tiny four-line poem, and get this, it's not really a poem in the way you might think. It's more like a powerful piece of mental technology. You could even call it a manifesto for creating entire worlds from, well, almost nothing.
So here it is, the whole thing. To make a prairie, it takes a clover and one bee, one clover and a bee and Revery. The Revery alone will do if bees are few. That's it. It sounds so simple, right? But it's just stark. So precise, it's almost surgical.
So, is that it? Just a simple little 19th century poem about nature, about daydreaming? I mean, you could totally read it that way. It's tempting. But if you do, you miss I'd almost say the violence of it. You miss the absolute genius of what Dickinson is actually doing here. Yeah, think again. This is not some passive piece of art you just admire from a distance. No. This is an active tool. It's a cognitive exploit. It's basically a set of instructions, a piece of code written with words designed to perform an operation on you.
Okay, so let's get into it. First up, how this poem literally hacks you. We're going to start with how these few lines pull off what is, for all intents and purposes, a deliberate break-in into your own brain.
Okay, so check out how this works. It's a three-step process. First, you get this repetition. Clover and one bee. One clover and a bee. See that? It's like a chant. It's lulling your brain into a comfortable pattern. Then, bam, the stutter. The meter breaks with that one line. And Revery. The pattern just shatters. And in that split second of confusion, your mind, which was expecting the rhythm to continue, is starved for input. So what does it do? It floods that gap with its own images. It literally forces you to create the prairie.
And this is the crucial part, right? Look at this incredible imbalance. The input is minimal. One clover, one bee. Tiny. But the output, maximal. An entire prairie. The poem uses absolute scarcity to generate this overwhelming surplus of meaning and imagery right inside your head. That's not just clever writing. You could almost call it a weaponized form of minimalism.
All right, let's take it a step further. We've seen how it hacks the brain, but now let's look at how it builds on that to become a fundamental challenge to the very nature of reality itself.
What the poem is suggesting here is that a prairie has something philosophers call hackacity. It's a great word. It basically means it's thisness, the quality that makes it what it is. And the poem argues that this thisness insists on existing, whether it's physically there or not. Its existence doesn't depend on soil or grass, but on something else entirely. And here comes the philosophical bombshell. Because if Revery, your own inner world, is enough to create a prairie, then the external world, it kind of becomes a courtesy, doesn't it? Not a necessity. Suddenly, reality itself is negotiable. You're not just a person living in a world, you are the one projecting that world.
But this incredible power to project your own reality, it's hiding something. There's a dangerous secret here, a confession even, hidden just under that simple, pastoral surface of clovers and bees.
Just think about the symbols for a second. A bee and a clover, a bee pollinating a flower. I mean, that's one of the oldest symbols we have for fertilization, for connection, for eros. But the poem gives us an alternative. It asks, what happens when that external connection fails? What if the bee is absent? Desire doesn't just die. No, it turns inward. The whole circuit closes on itself. It becomes self-pollinating, creating entire worlds completely on its own.
I mean, that is a radical idea. And it's also profoundly isolating when you think about it. It's suggesting a kind of self-sufficiency so complete that the need for another person, for external validation, it just evaporates. It's like the soul flips into emergency mode, and it transforms that feeling of lack into a feeling of absolute abundance.
And this, of course, brings us to the poet herself, Emily Dickinson, famously secluded in her room. This poem, it's not just some abstract thought experiment. No way. It's a survival strategy. It was forged in the fires of radical solitude. And when you look at it that way, the poem becomes this act of quiet rebellion. Think about it. In the 1860s, America was all about manifest destiny, expanding outward, conquering, devouring actual prairies. And at the same time, in her attic, Dickinson was performing this incredible counter-colonization of interior space. She was reclaiming vastness, but in her own mind. She proved you could find that same scale without ever leaving your room. And the evidence for this whole philosophy of subtraction, it's all over her work. It's even in what's not there. For instance,
Why did she leave almost all her poems untitled? I mean, a title tells you what to think, right? It frames the whole thing for you. And Dickinson, she just refused to do that.
Yeah, not giving her poems titles was a totally deliberate choice. It was an act of what you might call sovereign subtraction. It kept the poems private, it resisted editorial control and those stuffy Victorian norms, and, this is the key, it forced us, the readers, to do the work. Just like with the prairie, the meaning has to be generated by you from this minimal untitled prompt.
Okay, so now we get to the poem's darkest secret. There's this black swan reading of it. An interpretation that is so unexpected, so unsettling, that it kind of changes everything you thought you knew about these 4 lines.
The poem is not hopeful. It is suicidal. Yeah, just let that sink in for a second. In this reading, this isn't some happy celebration of the power of imagination. It's a quiet endorsement of just disappearing.
So, which one is it? Is this poem a triumphant statement that our minds can conquer a harsh, empty world, or is it a quiet surrender? Is it an argument for just retreating into a beautiful illusion when the real world doesn't give you what you need, when it doesn't provide any bees?
And that's the core of this darker reading. When connection fails, if bees are few, the poem offers this really seductive kind of nihilism. It's saying, hey, prefer the beautiful illusion to the diminished real. Just let the world outside starve, let it wither, as long as your inner empire is flourishing. It's the quiet suicide of the part of you that needs other people. And look, this isn't just some dusty 19th century question. Think about our world right now. A world of ecological crisis, of digital overload, a world where real, genuine connection can feel pretty scarce, a world of few bees. Suddenly, the poem's choice feels more urgent than ever, doesn't it? Which prairie will you choose? The magnificent one inside, or the diminished real one outside? In the end, that's the haunting image the poem leaves us with. The final picture is this: an entire prairie growing inside a single human eye. The whole vastness of the world, not out there, but in here. It's a testament to the absolutely terrifying and also magnificent power of a mind that has figured out it needs almost nothing to build everything.